Welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we speak to local entrepreneurs and learn about their journey. Welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we discuss the rise, the fall,
and the kicking.
No. We're not doing that family show Sunday morning.
One of these
it's
days.
a holy day. My name is Randy.
I'm Craig from That's a Wrap Productions.
And today we have with us Jeanine and Roy Barrera from Platinum Tax Grievances. Why tax grievances?
Well, why not?
That's a good question. I think you want to. If I'm
Have
coming
a
from,
nice day.
But if I'm coming from the county, I can give you an answer. Why not? But as an individual, I agree. Why not?
Yeah.
So it's a no-cost obligation. So if we don't save you any money, you don't have to pay any fee, $0.
Nada.
So it doesn't hurt. We work strictly on contingency. And the more money that I save you, the more money that I make also. So
So you're going to fight. You're going to fight
I'm
for
going to
us.
fight really hard.
So there's no risk.
No risk.
There's no risk.
Only reward.
Before we get into that, though, how the heck did you find yourself? Well, first of all, you're, I'm guessing, a husband-wife
Yeah.
Team.
That's correct.
Well, that we have plenty of questions. That's a whole different
That's a whole other
conversation
episode.
for a journey. But how do you get involved in this field? I mean, how did that happen? How
Where'd
did
you
your
come from?
entrepreneurial journey get you there?
So I've been in the appraisal business now 25 years. And about maybe 15 years ago, I was working with some grievance companies, and they were using my appraisals to do grievances.
And you're like, what the heck is...
And they're making all the money. They were paying me minimal, and they were making thousands of dollars. And I'm like, well, why don't we just do it all in-house? And that's when I started Platinum Tax Grievances about 15 years ago. So now with my appraisal knowledge, I feel that we're a step above our competition. So
That's awesome. And did that at all hurt your partnerships, your
No.
with these other companies?
not at all. They still will hire me to do appraisals for them, so they don't feel like I'm a
competitor.
No.
Yeah.
You're an expert. You
Yeah, a
became
lot
an
of
expert.
times if there's a house that's is kind of atypical for the area and they're having a hard time coming up with the value, and they'll come to us, for their hard cases, and we'll do an appraisal on it.
because they know I'm not going to try to steal. Everything's about your reputation in this
Sure.
world. So, and I stand behind my reputation.
So, it's interesting. We had a guest on earlier, and we were talking about reputation, and reputation's everything, right? Your reputation is the most important thing. So what you're saying is very important, that you do the right thing. You do what you say you're going to do so that you can continue having these referral partnerships, because that's so important, especially in our, it's a big, small world.
Yes.
It's very, especially in the real estate industry, but in business in general, I think that Roy really.
And
I'm
I
going
feel
to give you some
prides
kudos.
himself.
What about you? Miss Roy, what about you, right? You're out there.
I am out there. I'm getting more out there.
Perfect.
As my kids are older. I only started with Roy 11 years ago as an appraiser.
Got it.
Before that, I was an occupational therapist.
OTR.
So how does the relationship work in that sense? Or you do more like the back end stuff and you do more the front end, or was the opposite?
No, actually. So I went and about 10 years ago, I got a certified residential license as well. So I'm completely independently my own. Have my own appraisal license. That's what I do in addition to him doing his own appraisals. We run the company together. I do certain parts of it. He does like the
networking,
all the networking and
right.
the marketing and all the big idea. He's a very
sales,
big idea guy. And then I'm the
But it's important
reel
to,
it in.
to reel it in, because you get distracted by all the shiny things. And you're out there doing your thing. You need someone to reel it in. Right? Forget about taxes. Let's raise the hurdles. I get it. So let me ask you, Jeanine, from a sense of accomplishment. So as an entrepreneur, you made a decision at one point that you were going into OT, right? Occupational therapy, which has a different, I'm guessing, a sense of accomplishment than does the world you're in today. So you made this
It was a huge shift. It was a huge shift because the world of like the medical world and the mindset of people that work in that field is the giving. So when I shifted to work with Roy, which was overall better for our family, better for us, and I felt like even bringing like the female energy into his business made a huge impact.
Absolutely.
So I felt like that was something, it was important for our family and for our business
But
to do that.
But you're still getting a sense of accomplishment.
So it took me a lot of like deep contemplation to figure out where is that going to come from, because for me that's like I'm an empath.
Right.
I feel like I need that from somewhere. So it took a couple of years, and he'd be like, we're helping people. And I'd be like, well, it's just not the same. But I so feel at this point that we are helping people in so many different ways that, like, surface level, you can't really tell.
Right.
But, like, I have women who are telling me that they're able to afford their monthly payment and stay in their home because we've grieved their taxes and they're, awesome. Own their home on their own, And
I love the fact that you're double dipping on both sides because you can get a feel, meaning that you're appraising. It makes sense. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
So, you must be like a godsend at times. You come in and you can tell somebody, I can save you a ton of money. You can afford to live in this house or redo your kitchen or whatever they're doing.
Right.
So that's the tax grievance part. And then we do a lot of appraisals for private purposes, not just for lending. So we do for divorces, for estates. I'll meet with people like yesterday. I just met with somebody whose mother died unexpectedly. This big, beautiful home. People are so attached to their homes and, or their mother's home. My mom loved this kitchen and look at this view. And, there's so much emotion that goes into it. It's not just, numbers.
It's not a transaction.
Yeah. However, I do say a lot because people are like, I never really met a woman appraiser, or, people say stupid stuff like, why are you doing this? How'd you get
That's
set
what they
here?
say. Why are you doing it? People say it to Craig when he walks in with his belt. Why are you doing this? But you're bringing up a really good point. We had a guest on, a guy, Rob Esposito. He wrote a book called Nobody Move, and his concept was that moving is just not a transaction. It is a big emotional. Regardless, God forbid, there's a death in the family, and you're looking at the house you were raised in, or divorce.
There's a something going on. It's just there's a lot of emotion.
So you're like a therapist.
I still am a therapist.
She is, yes.
Good thing you're on the couch. Good thing you're on the couch. So tell me your territories.
Okay. So for tax grievances, we're right now in Nassau and Suffolk County. And then we go upstate, like a little bit of the upstate, say downstate area. So Westchester, Orange, and Rockland County. So those are like the 5 counties that we're currently covering right now.
And is tax grievance season? Are we in season? Forgive me for sounding
so. We are. So Nassau County, the deadline just got extended. It's normally March 1st. It's April 1st. So we're right in it now, being in March. And then Suffolk, the deadline is always the 3rd Tuesday in May, which will be May 20th this year. So again, we're like in peak season right now.
So a silly question is, why would the counties extend that? What's the benefit to them? That sounds really weird to me.
Generally, I ask the silly questions.
Sure. So it started happening during COVID. Obviously, a lot was going on with COVID, so deadlines were getting extended then, and then it kind of like slowed down. But I'm not sure why they did it this year. They did it last year too. So they'll usually extend it.
Well, somebody wants to get a vote. It sounds like.
Maybe. Yeah, they extended it quite a few times actually in the past couple of years. So I don't know if they're going to extend it again. But nobody should wait because it does take us a little, a write off.
Yeah, to get I'm sure you're busy, right?
Sooner rather than
submit it now. Don't wait till March 30th. You know what I mean? So.
Right. And so give me a feel when you started your business. You bootstrapped it. I'm asking. You did it on your own. You the whole thing on your own.
Didn't inherit it from like family or anything like that. I just got into it myself, and as an entrepreneur, no partners, just myself.
Were you working for somebody originally?
Yes, that's what you have to do. So become an appraiser. You have to work as an appraiser assistant, like a trainee, for 2 years. So I worked for a company. And, I was upfront with them that I knew eventually I did want to own my own business. That's why I went to Stony Brook and double majored in business management and economics. So I knew one day I did want to...
brag.
Well, I don't know if I get into Stony Brook now. It's a hard thing to get into.
But you did it then. What's the difference?
That's all that matters.
It's completely irrelevant what happened there.
So anyway, I worked for them for 2 years. And then I started Platinum Appraisals on April 29th of 2002.
Awesome.
Yeah, just going on 23 years now.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah, I used to highlight his Hagstrom maps for him to get to the houses that he was going to. I mean, this was way before even MapQuest.
Right. We used to measure a house with a tape measure. Then I went to the wheel. See those big surveys use. And now I'm using a laser measurer. Just bam, bam.
There's your question, Greg. You can question.
What do I use to measure the house?
I generally like to ask.
No. He likes asking about technology.
Your technology has changed so much since you started. Like, would you say that the laser measurer is the thing that I guess that saves you the most time?
Saves a lot of time, yes.
Okay.
And even now, too, when we first started out, we were using, 35 millimeter and getting film at 1 hour developed. You know what I mean? Like that.
Taping it onto the report,
And then I moved to like a
mailing
Sony
it.
Mavica with a floppy disk drive would go inside and we'd lose photos, and then a regular digital camera. And now I just use my iPhone because
crazy.
it's just bam, bam.
But I got to tell you something. It was something special about when you were growing up. You waited photomat. Remember when you come back from vacation and you're waiting for the photos to come back? But not so great for business, but great.
It was a different world.
Understand that.
Yep.
But so that's interesting that you bring it back to highlighting a map. And
I was in
and all those
college.
days.
That's where we
Right,
met.
there was no like navigation and stuff. I remember my first card I had navigation. I used to have it in a laptop, and it was like a program on it, like with MapQuest.
Yeah,
all that.
Go
with this-
4.3 miles and make a right.
How didn't we kill ourselves holding those sheets of paper?
looking
And now
down.
they tell you can't text and drive. Meanwhile, I think that was more dangerous.
that was what we did.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Wow. So that tremendous amount of savings
of time.
and time.
Yes.
So you're much more efficient.
Of course, yes.
You see many more properties
In
a
a day.
day, a week, a
Yeah.
month,
Yeah.
which lowers the cost to the consumer. And makes
However, I do have to say,
yes.
the amount of information we have to provide in the reports has increased
Like 10
exponentially.
times than we had to do.
How
Is
much?
that because of the banking issue that happened years
In
ago?
08.
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So really, like
Right,
we
we
have
first
to.
started out, I would have to put in like 6 photos of a house, like a front, a rear, and a street, and then just the kitchen, one of the bathrooms, and a living room, and that was it. Now it's every single room in the house. So I'm talking like all the bathrooms, dens, every room in the basement, a picture of the boiler, central air, any amenities, pools.
Yeah,
I
circuit
mean, so now
breaker.
there's like 35 to 40 photos where there used to be 6.
Right.
So taking that and putting them in the report and then writing addendas, and then we used to
Yeah.
put 3 comparables in. Now we're putting in 5 or 6. So it's just a lot more time.
A lot more work.
Looking at
because the bank
MLS.
wants to protect their investment.
So if you're just tuning in to B2B with Randy and
loves
Craig
us, he
on
loves us.
WBAB 102.3 or on Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, we are sitting down with Jeanine and Roy Barrera of Platinum Tax Grievances.
Wow, I got to tell you something. That was like the best Casey Kasem I ever heard you do.
Thank
Not
you.
bad.
That's pretty good.
That was a pretty good one.
I got a voice. I got
You're
a
getting
face for
better.
radio. What can I say?
No, you definitely do.
So one of my favorite questions is that, being that you're a married couple and you're doing the same line of work, how do
Do you want to kill
juggle-
each other? No.
People do
Every
ask us that
morning.
quite a bit.
I'm
When I
sure.
tell them, oh yeah, well we work together. I'll go with him to networking events, and they're like, oh wait, you're married, but you also work together.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we love each other, but we also like each other.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
important.
So,
That's
and-
important.
but-
We're happy.
How do you juggle though being a business owners and also being a parent? What's the
That's a big challenge, a huge challenge.
It is tough with the amount of, we all have 24 hours in a day, obviously. So you want to make sure, and we have, 3 children. So spending time with them. and
boys,
obviously-
girls, ages?
So we have 2 girls that are 18 and 16, one in college, one in high school. And then we have a 7-year-old boy as well. So in
Shout out
first
to the
grade.
kids.
No, that's a balance. That's a very important balance because family is job one, but we want to feed the family.
Yes.
So, and it sounds like you guys figured out a nice.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I always kid around with realtors when I meet them at houses, and we end up talking, and they maybe have kids too, and I'm like, oh yeah, this job is so flexible. You get to pick which 18 hours a day you work.
Right.
It's
Good answer.
really, I'll put
Right.
the little guy to bed, and then I'm back in the office until 1 or 1:30 in the
Well,
morning.
that shows your passion for what you're doing. That is terrific.
Having to get the job done.
You commit to a deadline. You got to get it done.
That's it.
In listening to both of you, the years experience that you have and the change in the marketplace, the demands from the banks and so forth, that's an experience that is so important, I would think, for a homeowner who's looking to get an appraisal. You don't want to deal with somebody where the bank doesn't know I'm asking.
Of course.
Doesn't know, they don't have the experience in the past, so they're questioning it, because that could affect the
whole
loan amount.
refinance and the
Well, so
mortgage,
there's
yeah.
something called geographical competency. So this is a big issue for banks. Sometimes they'll
Explain that to us.
Okay, so really the appraiser needs to know the area and the market, and if you say the bank shops out an appraisal for the lowest fee and the quickest turn time, then they get some guy from New Jersey coming
has
all the
no
way to Long
idea.
Island that
Or
has no
Staten
idea.
Island, right,
Yeah, has no
exactly.
idea what's happening in the submarkets.
Got it.
Because on Long Island there are such specific. submarkets. There's different data.
It could be a street, right?
It could be.
Island,
It could
right?
be.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's good, we both have different areas. Like she likes to specialize in the South Shore of Nassau County, a little bit in the town of Huntington, I would say.
She's getting ready for the summertime. That's why she wants the South Shore. We'll look for you on the
And
beach.
I'm more like in Manhattan or in the Hamptons or in like, the Gold Coast, maybe like, Brookville, Sandton.
Complementing
so
each
it works
other.
out
Yeah.
well. We complement, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
and are you finding? I'm hearing that the housing market is tight. I mean, we're all seeing. How is that impacting you? Or people looking more refis going on? What?
Still not yet with the refis. We're having a few because people are getting into a lot of credit card debt. So we are seeing some people refi, but the rates are still kind of high,
Right.
But on the purchases, we're still seeing bidding wars where houses are selling over the asking
crazy.
price.
Every house
So,
with
100,000
multiple
over,
offers.
150 over. So it could be a challenge sometimes finding the comparables, but we do our best to try to find them.
And
so.
the only houses that really are available, there's no houses that people are really moving to upgrade or downgrade because their mortgage payment, even if they downgrade, is going to stay the same or higher.
Right. You're not
with the
buying.
higher
Where am I
interest
going?
rate.
Right.
That's saying.
So people are not moving, so that's causing the inventory issue. So
I have a question for you. So I'm going to mention a company, Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
So I once heard from somebody, it's a great tool to use to see what's in the market, but a bad tool to use to get a feel for where your pricing is going to
Yeah.
be on your home because it doesn't take into a lot of considerations,
Yes.
extensions, the year of your kitchen. I'm making
So
things
it's
up.
really just an algorithm, so if we were in an area where there were a lot of developments, like say, I don't know, Florida, for example, where there's like developments that are going up, the houses for the most part in that development are very similar to each other, but it's not like that on Long Island.
Right.
Anywhere you look, you're going to have a huge, let's talk about Levittown.
Right. That used
There's
to
a
be like that,
huge
but now
colonial
you can see every house looks different now.
Yeah.
Yep. And
The
so,
buildings
blown out.
I live
Right.
there, and
Knocked down.
they're building
They're
like
knocking
Yeah, that's why I grew up.
paying
mansions.
700,000, knocking it down, now selling for 1.3,
Digging a
1.5.
basement.
It's crazy.
It really
crazy.
is. You're
They need
100%
egress.
right.
What?
They need egress. 100% right. Very important. Everybody
Shameless
needs
plug
egress.
there.
Everybody needs an egress, is what I say.
Yep.
No, but that's interesting. You really got to be trained to know the marketplace. Let me ask you,
Yeah.
how does somebody listening get a hold of you? How do they find you?
It's very easy. Obviously, you can go to our website. That's probably the easiest way to find us and file a grievance.
What is the website?
Sure, it's platinumgroupllc.com. Platinum like the metal, groupllc.com. And it takes about 30 seconds to file a grievance. It's 5 easy questions you can fill out. And then, of course, our email address would be on there, phone number, anyway you
What's the
want to
phone number?
631-242-1213.
Greg, you should immediately grieve your taxes.
So
I just did it with you guys.
My $1 million, I generally have a $1 million question. And my $1 million question is, what do you think the most common problem that people have filing their tax grievances?
So
yeah, there's two big...
She was about to...
There's two misconceptions that people have.
Okay.
One is that they feel that somebody's going to come to the house. So the town is so busy, nobody's coming to your house. I've been preaching this for 15 years, and I can guarantee that nobody's going to come to your
Nobody is.
house, knock on your door. And then the other biggest misconception that people are worried about is that I'm doing really well. Are they going to reassess me and raise my taxes? And the town is not allowed to do that. So again, if you are doing well and you want to try and we're unsuccessful, they're not going to all of a sudden then bump you up and
Increase.
say,
Right.
okay,
No.
well, you're only paying 15. You should be at 18. They're not going to raise you. They're not allowed to do
And
that.
is there a limit to how many times someone could try to
Grieve? So you can grieve every year, but you can't win every year if we go to small claims court. And that's where we win mostly in Suffolk County. You can only win every other year. So it's fine to file the grievance every year, but we can't actually, take you to court and win every
Well,
year.
it sounds like a waste of time to do it every year, is what you're saying.
Well, because sometimes we don't know. It sometimes takes a year to 18 months. So we might not have a decision from last year. And see if we get denied and you didn't file for the current year, you'll have to wait a year. So it's
So
good
we
to
always
keep
say,
filing. And then
do
we
it
just
every
won't,
year.
we'll just
Yeah.
not go to court that year.
So it wouldn't be an automatic. Let's just say that I filed with you, which I did.
No, you
this
have to
year.
file out new paperwork. We can't just say, okay, I'm just going
I'll
to
roll
keep roll it over. No, you have to sign a new authorization every year.
Got it. Makes sense. I didn't realize that you could do it every year, but it's interesting that you can.
yeah, and everybody should really.
And especially if you're in Nassau County, because Nassau County, a lot of the cases we can settle at the first level, which is called ARC, Assessment Review Commission, and that you can do every year. So in Nassau County, a lot of our clients file every year and win every year.
Oh, got it.
So if someone's sitting at home right now and they're doing something else,
I can guarantee you people laying in bed right now.
yeah, at 6:30 in the morning. So if someone's sitting at home feeling any kind of unsatisfied feelings from their job, and they want to start a business of their own. What advice would you give to them?
Stay out of appraisals.
I mean, something somebody once told me is that, do something that you're passionate about. Don't just do it like for the money. Do something that you love and that means something to you. Because again, if you're going to be doing this the next 5, 10, 15 years, you want to love what you do, right or wrong.
And then it's not about the money. The money comes.
The money will come there eventually, yes.
Look, you were an OT. That's not necessarily chasing the money. That's chasing the passion. That's fixing a problem.
Right.
That's a different mindset.
Right.
When we interview for entrepreneurial journeys, first responders, for example, it's a different conversation. I mean, it's a journey. They just made a different decision.
Right.
And thank God.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the to do that.
I don't get that rush from that, but they do.
Yeah.
They do.
And it's interesting because over the course of this whole journey that I've been on, I've noticed there's multiple types of people, but in jobs, there's 2 different types of people in business, really. There's people who are willing to take a chance, who, are willing to say, okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to get a paycheck on Friday, but I'm going to start this business, and I'm fine with that uncertainty. Where there's other people that really need to make sure that they go to work, they can get their kid off the bus at a certain time, that they're going to have a certain paycheck, they're going to have their benefits. We need all those types of people.
100%.
Right? But we need the crazy people who, are willing to take the big chances to be the business owners, they're the big idea people.
Thank God.
Thank goodness for them, right? So, but it's
that they dream big, they take risks.
Right, there you go. That sounds familiar to me. It's funny. We were just saying that with someone earlier, that we've been saying it consistently. Employees look forward to Friday to get their paycheck. Many business owners are concerned about Friday because maybe they can't make payroll, and a business owner will not pay himself.
Right.
Before he's not going to pay his employees. So that, you're right. It takes a certain...
And people that are working for those business owners don't really know what goes into being a business owner. It's really crazy. It's crazy.
It's exciting. It's an adrenaline rush.
It is.
Exactly. It's an adrenaline rush. But you got to be able to, buckle in and get ready for that ride. So I know you're a big motivation person, the universe, I got it. So I have to ask you, I'm going to ask both of you, but I got to ask you first. Give us a book that you would recommend to someone who's beginning their entrepreneurial journey, or they're in their journey, something that you would recommend that they read that really is inspiring.
All right, one book that I read a few years back that I'm going to try to read again this year was Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I think that's a great book.
Love it.
And I'm reading right now. It's called Who Not How.
And are you reading or listening?
Listening. I do audiobooks. Yeah, because I'm in the car. I drive 25,000 miles a year, so I'm always in the car. So I'm always just listening to new books. So yeah, those are
awesome. Say them one more time.
Sure. So Outwitting the Devil.
Okay.
By Napoleon Hill. He also wrote Think and Grow Rich, which is a classic book. I read that first, and then Outwitting the Devil. I thought that book was a little bit better. And then I'm currently listening to Who Not How.
Love it. Do you have anything?
Well, right now I'm listening to the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and I think it's interesting because I keep listening to her, and I'm like, Roy has this, like the idea and the theory. I don't know if you've read the book, but it is fabulous. I feel like
I'm going to add it to my list because when I sit in this room, my list is growing and growing because these entrepreneurs give us great ideas.
Yeah,
great
we
books.
always worry about, what other people are doing and what they're going to think about us, and we're going to post a social media post, and then other people are going to be thinking about us and talking about us, and or like what this person did and they didn't invite us to this. Let them.
Yeah.
Let them, and then let me. And that's her whole theory. And she talks about it in
let me.
every single area of life. She talks about it and about, like, basically, you don't need to care about what other people think about you. Like that's their
That's
thing.
a hard thing to get over, but I get it. I get it.
He has mastered it without ever reading that book, or even, I feel like he could have written the theory because he's like, if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
And
That's true.
so-
that is true. That is well said. Well said.
Well, from B to B with Randy and Craig, that's a wrap.
Thank you for tuning in to B2B with Randy and Craig. Looking forward to hanging with you next week.